In a remote part of the world, far beyond the bustling villages and deep within the towering snow-covered peaks of the snowy mountains, there lived a curious young wolf named Kira. Her fur was thick and silvery gray, perfect for withstanding the harsh winter winds and the freezing temperatures of the high mountain ranges. Kira was known for her adventurous spirit, always eager to explore beyond the dense forest where her pack lived. Her pack was a close-knit group, and though they were strong and loyal, they preferred to stay within the familiar boundaries of their territory, especially during the long, cold winter months. But Kira was different. She had always felt a yearning to know more, to see what lay beyond the snowy ridges, where the world was wild and untouched. She would often sit on the highest cliffs, gazing out across the snow-covered expanse, imagining what mysteries the mountains held. Her curiosity would stir like the wind that howled through the trees, and every day she felt a pull to venture further. One morning, as Kira watched the sun rise over the glistening snow, she decided that today would be the day. She would finally explore the mountain trails she had only ever seen from afar. She felt her heart race with excitement as she padded quietly through the snow, careful not to wake her pack. The snow crunched softly under her paws, the only sound breaking the stillness of the morning. Kira's breath formed little clouds in the crisp air as she bounded up the mountain's rocky slopes, eager to discover what lay hidden beyond the peaks. The journey was challenging, but Kira was determined. The wind howled fiercely as she climbed higher, biting at her fur and stinging her nose, but Kira pressed on. She was no stranger to the cold and the isolation of the mountains, and she found a deep sense of peace in the solitude. There was something magical about the way the snow sparkled under the sun, like millions of tiny diamonds scattered across the land. The mountains were alive with the sounds of nature, even in their frozen state. As she made her way up a particularly steep slope, Kira's sharp eyes caught sight of something in the distance. Through the swirling snowflakes, she saw a flash of color, something red and bright against the white backdrop. Curious, she sprinted toward it, her paws sinking into the snow with each step. As she drew closer, the figure became clearer. It was a small fox with bright, fiery fur that stood out vividly against the snow. The fox was pacing nervously, glancing over its shoulder every few moments as if it was being followed. Kira slowed her pace as she approached, not wanting to startle the fox. When the fox finally noticed her, it stopped and blinked in surprise, its fur bristling slightly. "Hello," Kira said, her voice calm and friendly. "I'm Kira. Are you lost?" The fox hesitated before replying. I'm not sure. I've been following a scent, hoping to find something, but the snow is making everything look the same. Now I can't find my way back." Kira's heart softened. She could see the worry in the fox's eyes, and it reminded her of the uncertainty she sometimes felt when exploring new places. "I know these mountains well," Kira said. "I can help you find your way back home." The fox's eyes brightened with hope. "Oh, thank you. I'm Rory. I came from the forest just on the other side of the mountain." Kira nodded. "I've been wanting to explore beyond the mountains. It would be nice to have company along the way. Maybe we can help each other." Rory wagged his tail, a smile tugging at his lips. "That sounds like a good plan." And so the unlikely duo set off together. Kira and Rory trekked through the snow-covered landscape, the wind biting at their faces as they moved across the open mountain terrain. They spoke of their homes, their families, and their dreams, learning more about one another with each step. Kira was amazed by how much Rory knew about the forest and the creatures that lived there. He spoke of dense woods filled with tall, ancient trees and crystal-clear streams that ran through the forest floor. Rory's stories filled Kira's mind with visions of vibrant places she had never seen. As the two traveled, they encountered many challenges. The snowstorm began to pick up, and the mountain paths became slippery and treacherous. But Kira, with her strength and agility, helped Rory through the icy patches. She used her sharp senses to navigate the winding trails, avoiding dangers like hidden ravines and steep cliffs. Rory, with his nimble paws, darted between rocks and trees, keeping an eye on the path ahead, and offering suggestions when needed. Their bond grew stronger with every passing hour. Kira admired Rory's resourcefulness, and Rory appreciated Kira's steady leadership. They learned how to work together as a team, relying on each other's strengths to overcome the obstacles that nature threw their way. After a long and tiring day of travel, the two found shelter in a small cave at the base of a steep cliff. The warmth of the cave's stone walls was a welcome relief from the cold wind outside, and they settled in for the night. Kira curled up on one side of the cave, while Rory lay on the other, both tired but content. As the stars twinkled through the opening of the cave, Kira found herself thinking about her family back home. She wondered if they were worried about her. She missed them, but she knew that this adventure was something she had to do. There was still so much to explore, so many mysteries left to uncover. The next morning the storm had cleared, and the world outside was covered in a blanket of fresh, untouched snow. Kira and Rory continued their journey, the sun casting a soft glow on the snow-covered peaks. As they climbed higher, the landscape became even more breathtaking. The mountains stretched out before them, vast and untouched, with sweeping views of the distant valleys below. Kira marveled at the beauty of it all, feeling a sense of awe and wonder at the world around her. Eventually, after several days of travel, the two reached the summit of the mountain. From there, they could see the entire valley spread out before them, the forest where Rory lived visible in the distance. Kira's heart swelled with pride and accomplishment. She had made it to the top just as she had always dreamed. Rory looked at Kira with admiration. "You've done it," he said, his voice full of awe. "I didn't think anyone could make it this far through the snow." "You're strong, Kira." Kira smiled, her eyes shining. "We did it together." With the mountain behind them and the forest ahead, Kira realized that her journey was far from over. There were still many adventures waiting for her, many places yet to be explored. She knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would always be ready to face them, with curiosity in her heart and friends by her side. Kira and Rory parted ways at the edge of the forest, each heading back to their respective homes. Kira looked back at the snowy mountains one last time before disappearing into the trees. She knew that she would return to the mountain someday, but for now she was content. Her adventure had taught her that the world was full of endless possibilities, and no matter how far she roamed, there would always be more to discover. A lone wolf pup, named Zephyr, shivered in the biting wind. His fur, a blend of silver and white, blended seamlessly with the snow-laden landscape. He was small, barely a year old, and his large, curious eyes reflected the starlight. He watched as his pack, a group of powerful, seasoned wolves, prepared for their nightly hunt. The air crackled with anticipation, the silence punctuated by the soft crunch of snow under their paws. Zephyr, despite his eagerness, was too young to join the hunt. He was relegated to staying behind, a source of frustration for his adventurous spirit. He watched as the pack disappeared into the darkness, their silhouettes fading into the swirling snow. He felt a pang of loneliness, a yearning to explore the vast, white wilderness that surrounded him. He decided to venture out just a little to the edge of the pack's territory. He promised himself he would stay close, just to see what he could see. He padded silently through the snow, his paws barely leaving a trace. The air was crisp and cold, the silence broken only by the soft whisper of the wind. He found himself mesmerized by the beauty of the snow-covered landscape, the way the moonlight transformed the world into a shimmering, ethereal realm. Zephyr, caught up in his exploration, had strayed further than he intended. He found himself at the edge of a frozen riverbed, a ribbon of ice winding through a deep valley. The first rays of dawn painted the sky with hues of pink and orange, casting a soft glow over the landscape. He ventured onto the frozen river, his paws testing the icy surface. The ice was thick and solid, but he could hear the faint sound of water flowing beneath. He was fascinated by the contrast between the frozen surface and the unseen flow of life beneath. He spotted a set of tracks in the snow, large and distinct. They were not wolf tracks. They were the tracks of a mountain goat, a creature he had only heard stories about. He decided to follow the tracks, his curiosity piqued. The tracks led him through a narrow gorge where the snow was deep and powdery. He struggled to keep up, his small legs sinking into the snow with each step. But he persevered, driven by an insatiable desire to explore. The tracks led Zephyr to a high mountain plateau, a vast expanse of snow overlooking a dense forest. The view was breathtaking, a panorama of white peaks and dark, forested valleys. He felt a sense of awe, a feeling of being small in the face of such grandeur. He spotted the mountain goat, a magnificent creature with long, curved horns, grazing on a patch of hardy alpine grass. The goat was oblivious to Zephyr's presence, its attention focused on its meal. Zephyr watched the goat, fascinated by its strength and agility. He admired its ability to navigate the treacherous mountain terrain with ease. He felt a surge of admiration and a desire to learn from this majestic creature. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the air. An avalanche, triggered by the rising sun, cascaded down the mountainside, a wall of snow and ice thundering towards them. Zephyr, startled, instinctively turned and ran. The mountain goat, sensing the danger, leaped onto a rocky outcrop, its hooves finding purchase on the steep, icy surface. The avalanche roared past, a torrent of white fury. Zephyr, struggling to stay upright, was swept away by the force of the snow. He tumbled and rolled, his body battered and bruised. Zephyr, disoriented and exhausted, found himself buried deep within a snowdrift. The world was dark and silent, the only sound the muffled beating of his own heart. He tried to move, but his body was trapped beneath the weight of the snow. He felt a wave of panic, a fear of being buried alive. He struggled against the snow, his paws digging frantically. But he was trapped, his strength failing. He closed his eyes, his mind filled with images of his pack, his family. He thought of his mother's warm fur, his father's strong presence, his siblings' playful nips. He felt a deep sense of longing, a yearning to be back with them. Suddenly he felt a faint vibration in the snow. He heard a muffled sound, a rhythmic thumping. He opened his eyes, straining to see through the darkness. A small, furry creature, a snowshoe hare, was digging its way through the snowdrift. It had been buried by the avalanche as well, but it was determined to escape. The hare, sensing Zephyr's presence, stopped digging. It looked at Zephyr, its eyes wide and startled. Then it resumed its digging, its small paws working tirelessly. Zephyr, inspired by the hare's determination, found a renewed sense of hope. He began to dig as well, using his paws to push the snow away. After what seemed like an eternity, Zephyr and the hare broke through the surface of the snowdrift. They emerged into a small clearing near the edge of the forest. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the snow. Zephyr, exhausted but relieved, shook the snow from his fur. He looked at the hare, his eyes filled with gratitude. The hare, in return, gave him a quick glance, then hopped away, disappearing into the undergrowth. Zephyr, alone again, felt a sense of accomplishment. He had survived the avalanche, thanks to the help of a small, seemingly insignificant creature. He had learned a valuable lesson about resilience and the importance of helping others. He knew he had to find his way back to his pack. He looked around, trying to get his bearings. The sun was setting and the temperature was dropping rapidly. He knew he had to find shelter soon. He spotted a small cave, nestled in a rocky outcrop, near the edge of the forest. He decided to take shelter there for the night. Zephyr entered the cave, seeking refuge from the biting cold. The cave was small and cramped, but it offered protection from the wind and snow. He curled up in a corner, his body shivering. He thought about his adventure, the frozen river, the mountain goat, the avalanche, the snowshoe hare. He had experienced so much in such a short time. He had learned about the dangers of the mountains, the importance of resilience, and the power of unexpected friendships. He closed his eyes, his mind filled with images of his pack. He missed them dearly, their warmth, their companionship, their love. He hoped they were searching for him. He fell asleep, his dreams filled with images of snow-covered mountains, frozen rivers, and a small, furry hare. The next morning, Zephyr woke up to the sound of familiar howls. He recognized the voices of his pack, their calls echoing through the mountains. He felt a surge of joy, a sense of relief. He emerged from the cave, his eyes scanning the landscape. He spotted his pack, their silhouettes moving through the snow, searching for him. He barked, a joyous sound that echoed through the mountains. His pack heard him and they turned towards him, their eyes widening with surprise and relief. They rushed towards him, their tails wagging furiously. They surrounded him, licking his face, nuzzling his fur. He felt a wave of love and acceptance, a sense of belonging. His mother, her eyes filled with tears, nuzzled him gently. His father, his strong presence reassuring, gave him a gentle lick on the forehead. They led him back to their den, a warm and welcoming place. He was home. Zephyr, back in the den, recounted his adventure to his pack. He told them about the frozen river, the mountain goat, the avalanche, the snowshoe hare. He told them about the lessons he had learned. His pack listened intently, their eyes filled with admiration and pride. They were proud of his courage, his resilience, his ability to survive in the harsh mountain environment. Zephyr, surrounded by his pack, felt a sense of contentment. He had faced his fears, explored the wilderness, and found his way home. He had become a stronger, wiser wolf. He knew that the mountains were a dangerous place, but he also knew that they were a place of beauty, wonder, and adventure. He knew that he would continue to explore, to learn, and to grow. But he also knew that he would always return to his pack, his family, his home.